with the teams currently playing all their last matches of the group stage, everything has been decided as far as the semi-final is concerned. Right now, teams are focusing on Pakistan 2025. That is the mandate for all the teams that really failed to make it to the semi-finals. That includes, Afghanistan, of course, in their match today. They will have to make sure that they win by over 120 runs to ensure a semi-final spot. So that may seem impossible for them, but we'll see how today's match goes. They won the toss and decided to bet first, setting a score for South Africa. And of course, we know why they would go for that against South Africa. A huge test for South Africa, however, in order to see if they would be ready to compete in the semi-final, coming from chasing. Welcome to our watch along. My name is Naledi Apane and I am with Tandeka Dube. And as I've mentioned, yesterday's match between New Zealand as well as Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka just being bowled out before the 50th over and before that game was over, just setting a very minimal score for 171, not too good for Sri Lanka. A man that put a lot of runs on that scoreboard, and that with 51 runs of 28 deliveries is Kusal Pereira. Not a great way to, just end the tournament. What are your thoughts on the match that happened yesterday?
It just shows that yesterday it wasn't an easy game, is how much we thought maybe they all needed this kind of a win, because it was one of those, a spot in the semi-finals and the spot for the Champions Trophy next 2025. So it's like everyone really wanted that spot. So it was now a matter of how hungry are you for that moment. And as we're just making a joke about yesterday's match, is that New Zealand opted to field first, thinking that it was going to rain, but it didn't even rain. It actually rained this side in Delhi instead of where they were. So it's one of those, they needed to know that with or without the rain, they just needed to win that match and to just cement their spot in the top four.
Especially with how their last match against Pakistan was determined by the rain. So when you look at the weather report and, obviously the pitch, and it tells you that it's going to rain, not just rain, but in thunderstorms. You'd obviously want to be on the safer side, considering what had happened to your team rather the last time. So I think it was a very smart move for New Zealand yesterday to do that. But that win against Sri Lanka really sort of cemented their space in the top four, because I don't think Afghanistan or even Pakistan can do anything at this point about it. Because today, if they want to make it through, if Afghanistan wants to make it through to their very first semi-final in the World Cup, they will have to win by 428, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a lot, especially against South Africa. But
it will need a miracle.
But we've seen that anything can happen in the sports of cricket. So I don't think that's going to happen, though. But we'll see how today goes.
Definitely, because I don't think South Africa would just want to lose today's game. It's that boost they need before the semi-finals, so that they know that since they were told, they're now, they're chasing, right? So if they win today's game, they have that little confidence saying, okay, we can handle chasing right here and do all the tricks and tactics which we're thinking about or planning all along. That means they're working. So they know that they have a solid plan. They can go to the semi-finals, even if they're told to bowl first or to bat first. They know that area has been covered already.
Yeah, and just for Sri Lanka, they are out of, obviously, the race for the top four. But the only thing that they're fighting for right now is the champions, that spot in the top seven. And so far, it doesn't look too bad for them, especially after that match that they played yesterday. Just that performance, though, from Sri Lanka. I was hoping to see Matushanka's name on the wicket takers, at least just getting, surely like a hole would have gone a long way. Because he was just 7 wickets away from making history and becoming, I think, the highest, wicket taker in ODI history.
That definitely shows that when you are about to play a match against another team, you need to do a thorough analysis.
Yes.
Finding out who are the key players, what have they been doing, study how they've been playing, like their playing patterns all along, the game plan. so that when you're facing them, you know, like you're properly equipped how to face them. For example, the way you're saying Matushanga didn't do much damage to New Zealand because they knew what to expect from him. And as a bowler, you always go back to the default settings. You just want to do the same thing over and over and hoping that it will work for you. But once a team is ready for you, the moment you deliver, they'll just strike you. And no matter how hard you try, you end up getting more frustrated and then you just make more mistakes. So at the end, if they know that you are the key player, for example, with the batters as well, they know you're a greatest hitter. Um, if you're the greatest hitter, they'll try to take you out quick. Why? Because they know if they leave you there longer, that means you're going to make the team win. So that's what I think that's what they did yesterday. Just the analysis of the key bowlers, and they made sure they restricted them so much.
And that's very interesting, for you to mention that, because I believe also that's what teams do. They also just check, okay, you need this, number of wickets in order to become, the highest wicket taker, and you will not be doing that at our expense. And we've seen also with how teams like Sri Lanka, as well as England, also denied Virat Kohli his 49th ODI, and he finally got it against South Africa. Even today, in today's match, there are players who are looking to complete milestones, in both in both teams, South Africa as well as Afghanistan. And we will be going through those stats as well. But today's match marks Kagisoraba's 100th ODI. So he was obviously presented with a special cap by Sean Pollock for that. And of course, in his 100th ODI, I believe that he would just want to, make sure that he makes an impact. The last time I checked, he needed I'll come to that, but he needs a certain number of wickets to be on a certain list. I'll just find it as we, talk in this match. But yeah, speaking of Kagiso Rabada, let's go through his stats before today's match. He had played a total of 99, today marking 100 for him. So in 97 innings, the total of 845.5 overs, 60 maidens, and 4,280 runs and 156 wickets, averaging 27.43 with an economy of 5.06, strike rate of 32.5, and 4 wickets 6 times, 5 wickets 2 times. So that's looking very interesting, for Kagiso Rabada. And of course, he would like to just make it, I believe, just get 4 wickets today. That would be a very distant one for him to just make it 160 wickets in 100 matches in ODIs. And in as far as the runs are concerned, I'm pretty sure that he would want to score, more than 50 today. But we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, those are the stats for Kagiso Rabada in, as he'll be playing his 100th ODI today. Let me just quickly give you the score. It is currently 25 for the loss of none. In the first power play, 5.3 overs. So it seems like Afghanistan are really just batting so well as things stand.
Yeah, so far so good. That means our bowling side then needs to up their game. Otherwise, not that we're scared that they won't manage to chase up the score. It will be easy, but you wouldn't want to let them go just like that and give them that vote of confidence that if we can bat long with South Africa, nothing can stop us at the same time.
I mean, they're also relying on the likes of Keshav Maharaj as well as Kagiso Rabada to ensure that they get those wickets. But I believe that they would want to, have it, at least have like 2 wickets right now. So bowling currently is Kagiso Rabada and Lungin Giti. And I believe that they know what is at stake. But let's talk about that. It is a test for South Africa. They know that chasing really is a problem that has to be solved. And like we've been saying throughout the tournament, that teams know teams' weaknesses. They know that, okay, Team India is very strong in both departments. They can bat first and they can also chase because they're able to pace themselves. And then you look at a team like South Africa who really know how to set the target. But when it comes to chasing, it is a problem. So I believe that every team that will be playing against South Africa, should they win the toss, they will be opting to bat first. So what kind of test is it today for South Africa?
It's just one of those testing the bowlers. How can you bowl when you're under pressure? So it's one of those can they manage when they're under pressure, when they know that, okay, we need to restrict this team as soon as possible, otherwise our batters they'll struggle. So it's one of those, we could say the bowling side is a little bit weaker than the batting side, in the sense that the batting side, they can face anything. They're strong enough to face the first round, the first innings, really. And then the bowling side, it because they don't have much pressure. That's why they're able um to chase them at the end of the second innings, in the sense that they know the score is high enough, was safe. Unlike right now in the first innings, they don't know what to expect and what the other team is thinking. So they can't be like, since the other team has been out there in the sun for the longest, so they must be tired. But right now, everyone is still fresh, and that means they can do the most damage right now, and everything, all the pressure is just put on the bowlers. So we'll see how that will go, and it's going to be an interesting one as well.
And for me, you and I also spoke a lot about rotation within squads.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that in the South African squad today, there's been two changes. With Janssen and Shami being rested. Also Marco Janssen would also just wanted to, I believe, want to get those runs on the scoreboard for the team. Kotia and Pehlugwayo in. I've been an advocate, I think, for Andile Pehlugwayo since the start of this tournament, and because he was not initially, called up for the squad. But when he was eventually called up, there is a match that he played. I forgot it was against which team, and he got us that most important wicket. So this one, I believe that is a game that he would also just want to prove himself again. But yeah, your thoughts overall on the two changes? Is it a good thing that the coach made the changes today?
Yeah, it's definitely the good thing, in the sense that they know this is their last game, and if he doesn't play right now in the semifinals, it's going to be hard to do team rotation, in the sense that they don't know their strengths and weaknesses of what they've been doing. So this is a good chance to let the other teammates rest and give those who are sitting on the terraces for too long. So it's a win-win situation, where they say, okay, let's try out everyone right now, so that when we select our squad for the semifinals, we know we're choosing the best people.
Yeah, and we'll just be going through those stats in just a moment. Yeah, just help me find those stats as well. But today, I believe that like I said in the opening, that today's match really does not have any impact at all, if ever any, on the standings on the log table. South Africa, maybe if they lose today's match, they'll just be dropping down to third position. However, it does not make any difference in terms of who they're going to be facing in the semi-finals, as that has already been established that India will be playing New Zealand, South Africa, and Australia. It will remain like that. However, for Afghanistan as well, there's not much really that's just going to, happen in that match, except South Africa losing their second position and being pushed, to third position. However, that won't technically make as much difference. This just goes to show how far we've come in this World Cup. So many games have gone by. Teams are playing their last matches in this week, and this is just a week to see where really your team finishes on the log table. The likes of England, we spoke, the last time before their last match that they won, they were sitting at number 10. That win really boosted them, and they moved to number 7, finding themselves well in that, in the champions, spot. And I believe that will sort of like redeem them for the horrible campaign they've had in this tournament.
If only they could manage to keep that spot and continue praying that these other teams lose all their matches, because if they happen to win those matches and the net run rate is way better than them, considering they were at the bottom 1 point, so it won't be much of a difference. So even if one of the teams were at the bottom right now, they win, they still have the same points, but it's a matter of how much of the net run rate did they gain, and how much down are they going to go again? So they might see themselves at the bottom again.
So it's definitely interesting. I feel like more than anything, the last games is for the teams at the bottom, because it seems like there'll be a lot of shifting and changing in that lock number, especially teams gunning for that top 7 spot.
Yeah.
But looking at the head-to-head records between the two teams, South Africa and Afghanistan, they played only one match so far, and this was during the 2019 World Cup, in the ICC World Cup in 2019, where Afghanistan were bowled out for 125 under 35 overs. So South Africa, I believe, will want to recreate the same thing today and just bowl them out before they even reach 200 runs in that one. And of course, the main man was Imran Tahir. He was the star bowler for the Proteas with 4 wickets for 29 runs. So coming into today's game, I believe that they will want to do the same thing that they did in 2019 and just bowl them out. And we've also seen with New Zealand bowling them out. So it goes to show that this is a team that you can bowl out. But of course, 2019 and 2023, we have witnessed and seen a different Afghanistan, most improved Afghanistan. So I don't think that it would be any easy for South Africa to bowl them out if that's what they're planning to do.
It's going to be hard. Just one of those, it's going to be a long day where you say, okay, these people just need to go. So it will require as well skill and patience for the teams to experience. Even for us, the fans will be like, hey, we can't really pressurize them, because we've seen what Afghanistan have been doing those past series, that they've been just improving. As much as they'll be losing, but it's never the same way. It's just a way better competition after all. Like what they did with Australia, really, that was a mind-blowing moment in the sense that yes, they ended up losing, but the fight they had to put on there just to suppress the score, because it remained constant for several overs. But seeing if they can do that to Australia, yes, SA won with against Australia, but it wasn't a close one as well. So they shouldn't just get too relaxed per se and say, well, we've got our own spot in the semis, but they should just take this as serious as they can, like a practice session to what they're going to face.
And the semi-final. And I do concur with that. Just before going through the stats, we'll go through that weather condition. Yesterday we spoke about possibility of having rainfall and which would have affected that match. As I was reading a few articles yesterday, that game was predicted to be washed out should the thunderstorms have happened. So let's see how today's weather looks like. It says that it will be very hot with the temperature going as high as 35 degrees when the match starts and gradually cooling down to 27 degrees later in the evening, with no chance of rainfall at all, and the moderate humidity at 69%. So that also just considering how the pitch is better friendly as well as bowling friendly, so this one, it doesn't matter who bats first or who bowls first, it is friendly for both teams. Plus, two components could really affect today's match.
Well, we just hope they're just going to hydrate enough so that they manage the heat. Because if it's going to be that hot and they're not yet used to that condition, it's just going to be difficult for them. But I feel this game to be in a fair sense of manner, in the sense that if you're good with your bowling, I always say that means you get your early wickets. If you're good with the batting, then that means you get those runs. So it's a matter of skill now and being proactive, in the sense that if you see your old ways are not working, you just have to think fast and maximize. Or if you're used to a certain type of a shot, you shouldn't just repeat it because it worked last time, because you never know who you are going to face next. And if you make one mistake, we are gone. So they just need to be proactive the moment they're going in there, reduce the pressure from the outside people, and also putting pressure on themselves. They just need to relax and at least try to motivate themselves. Then they just need to look at the ball, and for the bowlers, they need to see which length works for them. They shouldn't just spray all over the balls and have extras, because they're literally giving away free runs.
Sure. And that will obviously be important, for the opposition team if you're literally just being given free runs on a very silver platter.
Oh yes, and hopefully they won't get timed out again this time.
I mean, I guess teams have already learned from that Angela Matthews situation about time as well. And I'm not sure if the stadiums have now provided screens just to run the stadium to just indicate and show time to the batsmen coming in that this is the amount of time you have. But if they don't have, I believe that this should be an investment, in the upcoming World Cups, as well as the Champions Trophy tour that will be happening in Pakistan in 2025. So I think that would be a great investment in the sport of cricket.
Definitely. Hopefully for semi-finals they'll have a time clock or something so that it seems to be fair for everyone, really.
So here's something interesting that I'm reading. So it says, as per Cricket Tracker, no matter who bats first, South Africa will win the match. That's what it says. And it will be an easy win for South Africa if they bat first. However, if South Africa have to chase, they will be in trouble. In that case, Afghanistan will have the edge. And obviously, this is what Afghanistan did, won the toss and decided to, just give South Africa a run for their money and just deciding to bat first. But let's talk about how important it would be for South Africa if they bowl out, Afghanistan in today's match, but it won't be easy considering the fact that you've got, Ibrahim Zadran, the youngster who also just knows how to get those runs on the scoreboard. And I don't think it's going to be any easy also considering just that they want to finish the tournament on a higher note. This is their first one that they have to, win. And also they've improved so much since the last time. So they have a lot to play for.
I feel this would be one of those, as much as if they don't manage to to ball out everyone, right? At least try to suppress them from hitting high ranging balls or the boundaries so that the score is minimum. Because no matter who you are, as long as score is over 300 really and how good you are, we know how their bowling attack is like. And for spins for us, it's kind of a little bit of a challenge, but it's one of those, if you're failing, at least minimize their current run rate and then make sure that it's always lower than 6, you're covered. And also try as much as you can to just at least take out 5 wickets. So in the event anything happens, the scores will be on your side. And like currently they are on 4.95, which is fair enough. If they manage to maintain that low score, the better.
The bowlers of South Africa need to come to the party though. I would have expected that at least a wicket or 2 wickets would have fallen by now, but it does not seem to be the case in this one. I don't think it looks good at all for them, especially the fact that it is Lungi Ngidi and Gafa Sarabada bowling.
They just need to pull up their socks, otherwise they'll just make the fans have a heart attack.
The fans will have a heart attack indeed. Let's just look at Afghanistan top players in World Cup. I have just spoken about Ibrahim Zadran. How dare I forget Rashid Khan, who's just also been absolutely brilliant, in getting those wickets for the team. In 8 innings, Rashid Khan has 9 wickets with an economy of 4.58. Ibrahim Zadran, on the other hand, after 8 innings, has 361 runs, and of course, with a strike rate of 77.96. For South Africa, the top players in World Cup 2023, of course, the man of the moment, the man of the tournament, Quinton de Kock, leading that goal scorer as well. With in 8 innings, he has a total of 550 runs and a total strike rate of 111.33. Marco Janssen, who today is not in, has been rested and is on the bench. In 8 innings, he has 17 wickets with the best figure of 3/31, and of course an economy of 6.41. So it's going to be interesting to see who's coming out victorious from the 2 teams today.
Oh yes, that shows the quality of the game has just changed and become even way better than what it was back then, and it's improving day by day. And that's the nice thing about such competitions, that the intensity just increases, and meaning the quality of the game as well also increases. Never know how the championship will be like. there'll be more competition, and meaning that Afghanistan, either way, they've managed to earn the team's respect in the way that, okay, now they know they exist, because they've given them that hard time to take them out or to manage to win against them. So they've managed to earn that spot from everyone else who would want to play against them and see how good they've been. So it's that team where everyone has been looking at, seeing it growing match by match. So it's a good thing for them and the right exposure they need.
So we're going to take a young break and just bring in Tasman to take us through the match today, to talk about who the key players in that match are, and to see if we can really just see Zadran also doing what he did in the last match, scoring just over 100 runs. Will he be doing the same against South Africa today? And of course, how South Africa is bowling, I don't think it has been impressive so far. In the first power play, no wicket has fallen so far. So we'll also just try to find out from her if there's anything wrong with that, of the bowling department of South Africa, just after this. Welcome back. Tasman is joining us. And of course, as promised, we're going to be talking about that match between South Africa and Afghanistan. So before I actually took a young break to welcome her in, it was, there was no wicket down. Right now, it is currently 41 for the loss of one, still in the first power play. Of course, the man who knows how to get those wickets in Kishaf Maharaj, doing the same things that he knows how to do best. And of course, just taking out Gurbas in that one. Tasman, Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys doing today?
We're very, very, very good. Thank you for the chocolates yesterday.
Oh, my pleasure.
They're
Are we gonna
going
mention
down.
the fact that nobody shared with me, or are we gonna leave that out for a mission?
I think we're gonna leave that out.
Ah,
There's no
okay.
need to talk about it.
It's all good. It's all
We'll
good.
just see how it goes throughout today. That will determine whether we get to share the next chocolates or not.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
But let's talk about today's game. Afghanistan in the last match, they did the same thing, decided to bet first. And today, same thing, betting first against South Africa for obvious reasons. Obviously they want to give South Africa that challenge, and hopefully they want to win that match for themselves today.
Yeah, definitely. I think we had David Brooks on the show a couple of days ago, and he did mention the fact that for wicket keepers, the likes of Ramanullah Gabaz, and after squatting for 300 balls plus, not the easiest time to go out there and open the batting as well and still take your team home. So maybe they just wanted a fair chance, give their batting order a fair chance. It's about 36 degrees today out there, and they'd want to get over and done with the batting part, and be done with it and let South Africa bake in the sun, most of this morning, most of this afternoon. Let South Africa bake and then have a chance to come at them and have a bowl at them and see how it goes, hopefully. As well as not mentioning the obvious that South Africa have been struggling chasing.
Trace. And that's exactly what Afghanistan are putting to the test today. But it is a great test for them, I believe, just heading into the semifinals. You never know who's going to win the toss and how things are going to happen from there. So they need to, just make sure that that area is also tight. I just want to talk about, Ibrahim Zatran, a favorite of a lot of people, that youngster that knows how to score the runs when it matters most. He scored just over 100 in the last match. Today, currently on 15 runs from 29 deliveries. Not too great, but also not too bad. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think, the point for him is to be there at the crease. Doesn't matter whether you come in and you score 50 in 25 balls and then you're out. As a top order batsman, be you number 1 to 3 anyway, you need to find yourself batting deep. You need to find yourself batting time and being able to, the longer you stay out there, the easier it gets. South Africa doesn't have one of the most easiest bowling attacks to get away with. We know that they have been sort of one of those super economical bowling attacks as well in the first power play.
Yeah.
So I think what's important is them not to lose wickets. Obviously, like you said, they've just lost 1 wicket within, second one, correction. Joe Kutsia has just struck for South Africa, and Ibrahim Zatran, the man we're talking about, the danger man, is gone. So, it was important for him to be out there. The longer you're out there, the easier it gets type of scenario. So, not too worried just yet about Afghanistan's batting order. They do have a solid right down to number 5, 6, possibly 7 even in Rashid Khan, Maybe aside from South Africa, they're one of those sides that does have depth as well, that has come to the party for them throughout this World Cup.
Let's talk about that. So the last time these two teams met in a World Cup, it was in 2019, and South Africa bowled out, Afghanistan. With how the wickets are going right now, it's still, obviously the first power play, 2 wickets down. Would we be seeing a similar situation in today's match, considering that they also just lost their key player in the run?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of people. There's the likes of Rahman Shah. He's 13 runs away from scoring a career 4,000 runs. He'll be only the 4th Afghanistan to ever have done it. So, they, like I said, they've got depth. I don't think it's a case of they should start panicking right now over the loss of wickets. Yeah, Zatran has been great. He put up 100, the first maiden 100 for Afghanistan. He scored a couple of 50s here and there as well, but he's not the only one. There's Hashmatullah, there's Rahmatullah, all of them down the order that still have the ability as well to come back with the game. So South Africa probably shouldn't start counting the eggs and hatching in a basket too soon. Of course, I can definitely guarantee you that Afghanistan from 2019 is not the Afghanistan you see in 2023. So something they should just, I think if South Africa loses it and decides they've got the game by this time because of the wicket of Zatran, they may just watch Afghanistan score 220 plus against it.
But would that be a difficult one for South Africa to chase?
South Africa, the way they're doing right now, it may not be able to to tell you, to be honest with you. You know, they're hot and cold when it comes to the chase. I think probably it's a good chance for them to lose today and put themselves to the test, to put some of us in a position of feeling safer to see them chasing.
Yeah. Marco Janssen out today, rested on the bench, as well as Shamsi and Lepetegwayo coming in. The man that hasn't really bowled as much or hasn't even really started as many games. I think this is the second one that is starting today. What are your thoughts on, obviously Marco Janssen being one of the greatest bowlers for South Africa and the key bowler for South Africa, and just him not being part of the team today?
Yeah, I think it's an inconsequential match for South Africa, and they definitely want him for the semi-final. Something you need to know is that seam bowlers have a lot of bowlers actually, if not all of them, but especially seam bowlers have a period of chart of workload. They're supposed to manage their workload in a certain way, because as a fast bowler, running in, landing, stopping, starting, that's your ankles, that's your knees, that's your back. So he's been playing every single game as far as I'm concerned. Not only is he a fast bowler, but he's a batting all-rounder as well. So it comes to the case that they still rely on him to put some runs on the board. So you'd want him fresh. Currently, semi-finals on the card against Australia.
Yeah.
We know how that went in the group stages. So I think it's something they'd want a fully fresh squad, a fully fit squad for. I would have actually even opted for them to rest Takiso today as well, and give Lizard Williams a chance to be in the squad as well. I think they should have gone with as many changes as possible. They could have accommodated for. Obviously, you want the likes of Quentin de Kock and them still in the squad. He's feeling fit enough, so be it, let him play. But when it comes to your seam bowlers, you have to manage their workload to ensure that you're not in the position of New Zealand ruling out Matt Henry because of quads or calves or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and just before I bring it to Tandy, you spoke about rotation. David Brooks isn't really a fan of rotation because he believes that in a way it affects the momentum of the squad. Is that true?
Yeah, I think the dynamic does change, but it just depends on what happens to the players you bring into that rotation.
I mean,
Mohammad Shami came in place of Hardik Pandya, and it was the best thing that ever happened for India. So it's just going to depend on the players themselves and how they grab the opportunity. I don't think management can be at fault for someone not performing or underperforming.
Yeah,
that's down to the individual now. So I'm all for it. I'm a player. I know what it's like. I know the toll it takes on the body as well. So I'm all for it. If you want me, I've been hitting, probably taking 5-wicket hauls for you throughout the tournament, and I'm a fast bowler, running in from 37 meters away. I'm doing it 10 overs on the trot, whether I bowl in 2 spells or 3 spells, but I'm doing it 10 overs in a row. That means I'm bowling anywhere between 60 to 80 balls, including wide. It's strenuous on the body, and I'll keep reiterating this. It's not just the body, it's the mind as well. It's switching on, switching off, switching on, switching off, switching on, switching off. And in between bowling, you're still fielding. That's a good 30 to 50 meter chase to the boundary and back if you find yourself doing it. That's going sideways, either side coming back if you're doing it. That's even when you're not actually fielding the ball, you're still proactive because you need to constantly be backing up in the field. You need to constantly be a line of support in the field. So I think it's okay for people to rest. They're human beings. They're not AI robots running around on the field. They're human beings at the end of the day. And if you want the best performance out of them, heading into the semi-finals, it's not the worst idea. We've seen Shakib Al Hasan go home after a loss to South Africa. We've seen him not go to the hotel, go home.
Yeah.
Like all the way home to say, look, I'm going to clear my head. I'm going to get my mind right. Or whatever personal reason he went home for and come back.
And when he came back,
we seen it in the Australian squad as well. It's important. It's important to stop, reset, and keep going.
Yeah. And I believe, personally, on a personal level, I feel like this would have been a match where you want to rest as many players as you can, especially because you've qualified for the semi-finals. You also just want to make sure that you have fit players who will be ready to play in that semi-final. Also because today's match really doesn't make any changes to the log table. If South Africa does lose today's match, the worst thing that can happen is that they move from second to number 3, but they remain in the top 3. So I believe that they should have made as many changes as possible. Quentin de Kock also should have rested today, I believe.
Yeah, I think with Quentin de Kock, something you must realize is it is his last World Cup.
So
It's
you
not
want to
so
play
much,
maybe-
it's not so much the fact of him even concerned about the rest. This is just him piling on the runs, piling on the runs, piling on the runs, piling on the runs. Lord knows he may not ever do it again. Yeah, murmurs here and there about them probably wanting to try to persuade him to extend his career a bit longer, But I believe when you're a player and you make up your mind about something, that's what it is. And based on whatever reasons he has, it's probably a decision he hasn't just made overnight, but he's thought about for a while as well. So I think in Quentin de Kock's case, let him play. As long as he's feeling fit enough, he's not hobbling around like Glenn Maxwell. We haven't seen him doing anything to show that he's feeling the strain or the pressure of scoring 100. He looks comfortable. He looks like, given the chance, he could score 200 for us as well at some point in time. So I think let him play, let him go on, let him do what he's got to do. Good to see Keshav Maharaj in the squad again. He's been bowling brilliantly. And for me, I find it fascinating because he's a spinner in a subcontinent where spin is predominated, but he's still taking wickets. So that's key for me. You have the likes of Afghanistan playing him today. He picked up the first wicket today. And you have the likes of Afghanistan playing against him, and they field 4 spinners, but they're still coming out to a spin bowler. I find that's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So it means he's doing something right, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me bring it to Tandy just before we wrap things up.
You're talking about the SS spinner, isn't it? Because of that she's the lefty of the team, or that doesn't really make any difference either you're left-hander or you're right-hander.
And again, he's just taken another wicket.
Another wicket.
Patula Shahidi, gone to Keshav Maharaj, caught behind by Quentin de Kock as well. It definitely makes a ploy to a certain extent, left-arm bowlers, depending on whether they're Chinamans or just traditional orthodox bowlers, it's more or less the difference between a left arm and a right arm is the way the ball's angled into the batsman, also depending whether it's a left-hand batsman or a right-hand batsman. Lefties are definitely special. I take nothing away from them. Anybody that would want to have a left-arm spinner in their team, if they see them, they'd want them. They'd work with them. They'd want them because they're a rare breed. You don't just find them all the time, but it's about the thought process of the bowler as well. It's about how proactive they are and how well adaptable they are to the situation at hand. And I think Maharaj is just thriving in India. Give that man an IPL team. Let's see what he can do. You know what I mean? He's thriving in India. So it's been a great tournament for him so far. So I'd like to see what else happens.
Definitely. And like what you're saying, these guys are just finally awakening up because they were just too chilled, like what we're talking about, Naledi, that they're taking too long to take the wickets. But now I'm just thinking that you guys, you were talking about the rest period. What kind of a rest?
Like this, it's hard to say you've got more than a day or two of rest. In between fixtures, it's fixtures after fixtures, and rest days are still training days. So we do what's called active rest. That means you're still training, but you're supposed to be rest.
There is no
So it's basically there's more of a recovery process. It's down to ice bath, it's down to dehydration, it's down to all those other things you do outside of the boundary line. Hot and cold showers, you have to alternate. You don't just have a hot shower, you don't have a cold shower, but you're supposed to alternate your showers. It's down to rehydration. You got to put the electrolytes, especially them in India right now, getting hit by the temperatures. I'm assuming they're drinking electrolytes like more than water at this current stage. It's the ice baths. I think that would be very welcoming. I'm not a personal favorite of ice baths, but in these temperatures and in these conditions, I don't think anyone's complaining about the ice bath at this stage.
Oh, yes.
It's important as well for you to get sleep. As silly as it sounds, athletes are expected to sleep anywhere between 6 to 8 hours to actually get the body to stop, restart, relax, and start again. So, it's the little things, especially when it's a tournament. That's where fitness is truly tested, I believe. Even heading into the semi-finals, we will see who's the fittest of the fit at this current stage because it takes its toll on the body as well.
Because I used to I remember seeing the ladies when they were saying it's rest day. All I'm saying is training schedules. I'll be like, okay, what time do you guys really rest here?
Yeah, so
But in the evening, I see.
active rest is more like on a regular day as a spin bowler. I think I come out in a bowl, say 12 overs, 10 overs, 12 overs. On a rest day, I'm bowling 5-6 overs, and it's
Okay.
considered resting.
All right.
I'm coming out and I'm having a fielding session that's usually say about 30 to 45 minutes, but I'm fielding for 20 minutes and I'm back in the pavilion having a drink. There's no such as a full out complete rest day, because even on a rest day you'll have a yoga session or a stretching session or some form of a session. It's active rest. I don't want to lie. You rest when you go home and see your family.
That's the only
complete
time.
rest, you know. But during big tournaments like this, yeah, it's about more about the recovery process that brings about the rest on the body, more than actual physical doing nothing type of rest.
So during that rest period, does your diet, like the food you're eating during match days, the same as the one you eat during the rest days, or it's constant
like
throughout?
Diet is a very strict regime. I don't want to lie to you. They try as much as possible to load on whatever you need. You know, sometimes you find in national teams they have nutritionists as well, and it's tailor-made to each individual because we're not all the same. We don't all maintain the same BMI, and we don't reach our actual BMI the same as everybody else. So you'll find in a proper national setup, they have a nutritionist as well. And you'll find there's certain guys that aren't allowed to eat. There's certain guys, you know, you have the likes of guys that could possibly be super skinny and they don't exactly put on weight or gain muscle content. They're allowed to eat whatever the hell they want, obviously. But within the certain guidelines of not this much cholesterol or not this much of that. But your diet doesn't change much, because I can tell you it definitely does impact your performance. Your diet's the type of thing that whether you're training or sitting, it plays a big role, definitely.
Okay. Because I was also looking at the players right now, the physique in the sports way, that what I've noticed in the sports way, that I've noticed that mostly the seamers are a little bit bulkier compared to the spinners. Why is that? So is it like a recommended thing?
So definitely, you know, it's being a pace bowler is not just how fast you bowl, is not just from the fact that you can move your arms really fast.
Okay.
It's power from your shoulders. It's power from your core. You gotta have a strong core. You gotta have a strong back. You gotta have the legs to run in and gather and keep a constant rhythm as well. So, as it comes to a spin bowler, you know, they're running in 10 steps, 12 maybe for a couple of them, and it's not much toll on the body as opposed to a seam bowler. Spin bowlers, you know, it's more of flexibility and the tactic of how they come about their jobs. But a seam bowler generally needs to be tall. It's using your full levers, using the full leverage of your body as well. So they in turn definitely need to be a lot bulkier, have a bit more muscle density content to be able to come out and bowl 10 overs, I believe.
That's good. And the last question is, what kind of injuries are we prone to see during, like, if a bowler compared to a batsman, so that everyone knows what kind of a risk the players are out there facing?
You know, I think it goes down to your personal fitness as well. You wouldn't want to see anybody getting injured, because you believe if they're playing on the stage, they're fit enough to take on the toll of the workload. But in the likes of, if you just go through the New Zealand changing room, probably at the halfway stage, 6 matches down, they had 5 injuries. And you know, it was with fast bowlers, even with batters, it can be hamstrings, it can be quads, because you're constantly running in a full sprint, then you must just break and turn around and run back in the opposite direction. You know, fast bowlers, a lot of times it's ankles, because they're landing and it's impact on the ankles. But you find these precautions. There's technology has advanced and progressed. Now they wear mid-rise to high-cut boots, so their ankles are constantly supported. You know, in terms, I know you guys are very curious about how their arms don't get sore and why their bodies don't get sore, but that's all part of their fitness. You know, that's all part of the conditioning. The body's used to doing the workload, definitely. So yeah, in terms of injuries, it's usually just freak injuries. You know, the pulling muscles, tweaking muscles, overstretched muscles, and not so much the moving your arms and moving your legs around type of injury.
It's something different from what they actually
so this, even if this gets sore, trust me, I guarantee it'll never get as sore as enough for you to have an injury.
And lastly, what will be the key, based on the match today? What are the key matchups we'll find today?
Yeah, definitely. So I think they just crossed the 50 over mark right now. They're currently on 53 in 13.2 overs, still down for the loss of 3 wickets. Dronacharya at the crease without Matula or Mazi. I think right now for Afghanistan is to rebuild. Yeah, start again, start from zero, rebuild the innings, see how to do it. You can't say rebuild and not have a clear plan. How about you're gonna go rebuild it? If it's back to the Jonathan Trotz theory of break it down into 10 overs, give yourself KPIs for each 10 overs, see at the end of the 10 overs how many boxes you checked, what you didn't check, what you can do better in the next 10. In terms of South Africa, they want to just keep striking. And in the same way, if they keep striking, try not to be expensive about it. Because the scoreboard will still be ticking. Those are runs you still need to come out there and get as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, ladies. We'll do it again later this evening. So am I allowed to put you guys on the spot?
I'll go, but I think it's a bit hard.
Tell me what's on your mind.
I've been backing Afghanistan from the start of the tournament. They are my underdogs in this tournament. But not just about the stats. I think South Africa definitely deserves to find themselves in a final and possibly win this World Cup. So I'm with South Africa on this one, but that's in the mind, in the heart, I'm with Afghanistan. So I'm just gonna say, I'm here supporting cricket today. I'm not gonna pick a side. Whoever scores a 50, whoever scores 100, I'm more than willing to applaud them. Whoever takes a 5, I'm down with that too.
And for you, Tony?
I'm with SA.
Yeah, I think it seems like you are outnumbered today. I think South Africa.
Still with them, don't forget.
Okay.
She's on the borderline.
I'm the fence. Loving your kids. Yeah, no, I
love all my kids, girl or boy. Like I'm on the fence. I can't pick one, to be honest with you.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the evening.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for tuning in.